Welcome to It's a Nerdy Thing. So today's session is very special because today we'll be having a book live chat with Dr. Sheetal Nair on his new book, The Midas Touch. Who doesn't know that what this book is about? Dr. Nair shares his experience and guides us on how we can achieve our goals. He shares the secret on how one can become a leader, and not only a leader, but how one can add an X factor element to their characters and become a champion with golden touch. This book is for everyone who desires to achieve his goals and develop his personality. I hope Dr. Nair will join us soon. We are waiting for Dr. Nair today. I am proud to welcome our guest of honor and the author with the Midas Touch, and Dr. Sheetal Nair.
Finally, I think. Yeah. Are you able to see me? I mean, it's like weird, man.
Yes, I'm finally able to see you, sir.
First time there were so many issues getting on live.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me here.
Welcome. And sir, first I would like to introduce you to our audience. Dr. Nair is a human resource professional. He holds a doctorate in training and development. He is an MBA and holds a diploma in corporate law from IIM Calcutta. He is also a trained PFA therapist from John Hopkins University, USA, and has learned comprehensive teaching and learning techniques from Harvard University. He is an orator and a trainer as well. He has been a guest faculty and has conducted workshops at various universities. Currently, he is the corporate head at DSS Group of Companies. He is also serving on the Board of Studies for School of Internal Security and Police Administration, Raksha Shakti University. He is a published author contributing in works ranging from anthologies in fiction to non-fiction books like Crumbled Voices, The Season, The Unchained Melodies, and the list goes on. Sir, I must say you have a very young, talented mind and extraordinary personality. So, first question that I would like to ask to you, sir, is that, sir, how you have managed to do all this from being an orator to trainer and now an author?
By being as confused as anyone can be on the earth. I mean, like, I've always been confused. I've always been like, there's so many choices that we all have in our lives, and a lot of times we get confounded. What are we supposed to do? Like when we enter a buffet, and there's a appetizer, there's a starter, there's a meat course, there's a dessert. What do you have? So life is just like that, and that's how I have lived it. I'm 34 right now, and I'm in the past, I think 14 years of my life, I've always been training. I think I started training when I was 20. And from that time itself, I knew that I wanted to become a trainer. So whatever I've done around my life, it's always been around training and development. My PhD again, training and development. Been a corporate trainer. My first standalone book again is somewhere or the other connected to leadership and championship, which is again a training thing. So yeah, throughout the life, everything is based on one theme, one specific ideology that I want to follow. And yeah, that's what I've been doing. And the rest of things keep on falling into place here. It happens.
That's very nice, sir. So I've already introduced the book in the beginning. So I would like you to introduce your book because I'm sure the audience would love to hear about the book from you. So if you will say something about the book.
If I like to start introducing my book, I think we'll keep on going on, but I'll just give a brief. So I think this book, I mean, every author says this, it's a very hard work and a lot of effort has gone behind it and making all this thing. But I'll tell you what went through me. I was training. I always have been a trainer for the past 14 years. Every time that I train on leadership, something that keeps on thinking me is that why do people try to make leadership like such a big thing? You have to become a leader, you have to lead from the front, and it's like you're bloody going for a war. I mean, I've heard people, me myself included, we try to equate leadership with, Art of War. I don't know if you know about that. The book Art of War by Sun Tzu. I mean, we try to equate it in a single thing, the military strategy that Art of War teaches us to leadership. And that sort of makes me wonder, like, do we want people to go and fight? Do we actually want people to go and argue? And when we want people to lead, are they leading people to a battle. It's not the case. So that is what I wanted to prove to people, that it is not necessary for you to try to manufacture a leader, but rather focus on that one specific skill set that an individual has. And once you focus on that one specific skill set the individual has, he or she will become a champion. Like, for example, Ayushi, let me just ask you, are you aware of this animal known as hedgehog?
Excuse me, sorry.
Are you aware of this animal known as hedgehog?
Hedgehog, no, sorry. I don't know about that.
So you know porcupine, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Now imagine hedgehog is similar to a porcupine. It is smaller than a porcupine, and the only thing that it can do to save itself is to get the horns out. That's the only thing that it can do.
Huh.
If I give you a choice, I think, would you want to become a hedgehog or would you want to become a fox? What would you want to become?
Fox. I would prefer being a fox.
Why? Why would you want to be a fox?
I just don't want to be, a naive animal being protected by some of my thorns, which is naturally gifted. I would like to develop my skills.
Interesting
like a fox
perspective.
and
Interesting
fight.
perspective. Very interesting perspective. So let me just tell this. What exactly happens is, why are we attracted to a fox? We're attracted to fox because fox, every tale that we have heard, I mean, we technically haven't spent time with foxes, right? We have just heard about them. We read stories about them, and we've probably seen them in National Geographic. Now, okay, there are a lot of messages coming that my voice is echoing.
Okay. Yeah, I think you should use earphones or something like that. So.
Okay,
I think that would be.
So while I was talking, so fox, right? So we hear a lot about the fox from these stories that we read, from the movies or from the clippings that we see in National Geographic.
So yeah, as I was saying, so fox, right? So we hear a lot about these fox from the tales that we hear, the National Geographic things that we hear, and we think that a fox is supposed to be a very wily and smart creature, and this wily and smart creature is what we all would like to become. And a hedgehog is, as I explained to you, it's a very small creature, is what a hedgehog able to do, right? Now, but the problem with us human beings is that we always try to focus on something which is extraordinary, something which is more than real, and we all want to become something which is out of the box. That's one of the reasons why we still like to watch Karan Johar movies, trying to think that it is a reality, right?
Yeah,
a lot of you do. I mean, a lot of us do. I mean,
I have went out of that phase.
Is it the SSR effect or it's prior to that?
No, prior to that, I have Salman Khan and that movies. I've just left that phase.
Smart, good. So that is the reason why these things still sell, right? Because we all want to see something which is larger than life. Aisa hona chahiye. But that is not reality. It is absolutely not reality. So we all actually are supposed to be like a hedgehog. We need to find that one trait in ourselves, something that is our calling, and we need to try to work on that, and we need to make it so special. We need to make it so good that whatever happens to us, that one specific trait will be able to make us sail through. Like a hedgehog, whatever animal attacks it, it just gets the thorns out and the animal cannot eat it, right? Similar to that. So that is something which inspired me to ensure that people do not get lost in the ocean of knowledge that is there, trying to find what leadership is. Let them all be focused on what exactly is the trait that we need to follow it on, and that is championship. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's nice. And what inspired you exactly to write this book? Like any life experience or something? Like what inspired you exactly to write it?
So there have been a lot of inspirations, Ayushi, like a lot of mentors that I have had the good fortune of working with. With the fact that I have been able to get education from some of the most premier institutes that India and abroad have to offer, that has also meant that I have been able to have mentors who are like at the top of their game. Probably someone like Professor V.K. Unni, who's drafted or been a part of the GST bill, was the one who taught us corporate law in IIM Calcutta. So stuff like that. So they are the like soul bones of inspirations that are there for me. Like I had this very amazing individual who was a teacher to me, that is Dr. Nilanjan Kaur, and Dr. Neil, as we fondly used to call him. And I have worked with him for a year as a psychologist under him, and the amazing knowledge that I was able to, I was exposed to, made me realize that we are basically skimming on the top. So you understand what skimming on the top is, right? So when we try to imagine you're a fisherman, imagine you're a fisherman and you go to fish, but your hook can only go below 10 meters. So like only till 10 meters or 10 feet is what your hook can go to. What happens to the fish, which is extraordinarily deeper than that? So your hook cannot reach there. So that is the case with all of us. We are just skimming through. We are not trying to take a deep dive. And that is what I realized when I met all these professors. I studied under them, the knowledge that I gained from them and the experiences that I've had. I mean, I don't think I can share that right now with you, but the book is basically an attempt at trying to make people understand that it is not necessary for you to have an extraordinary complicated explanation of a theory. Theories, they may sound complicated, but you can explain to the audience it in the easiest manner, and it still holds the truth. Right? That's what the genuine attempt is.
I've
via
read
the
the
book.
book and I understand what you're saying.
Great,
That it's
great.
written in a very simple language, like a very complex theories are explained in a very simple language. So that's a very good point, sir.
So I'll tell you something else. Like I shared this with one of my professors before I published it, and he was like very critical of me. He said, "Ki, what have you tried to do? Well, this is like you're not even trying to explain to them the reality of the theory." I said, "Sir, if I actually pick up that one theory, I can write a book. The entire book can be on that one theory. So it doesn't make any sense. See, what do you need? So let's say what is your favorite dish, Ayushi? What is your favorite dish?
Biryani.
Biryani. Okay. Now tell me one thing. Would you be really interested to know how the spices of biryani are ground and where do you get them from? Or would you rather be happy with knowing that biryani mein basmati girti hai and there are certain vegetables and certain meat that is put? Right. So that is exactly what my point is. Why do I need to share? Why do I need to share where I'm getting the spices from? Like what is the root? Doesn't make sense. Absolutely doesn't make sense. So that was the sole attempt in writing the book.
That's a very good concept, and the biryani concept was a very good examples. Like in the book, in fact, you have given the examples are very simple and very relatable actually. So that was very helpful to understand the theories. So there's a frequent use of the words championship and leadership. So can you tell us that what does actually mean? Like what is your understanding of that words? Like what are those words according to your aspect? Like what is your understanding?
So I always feel that in India, two things are like the most relatable things. Like one is politics. You talk about politics and everyone has an opinion. And one is cricket. Like even like in the current condition of Corona, right? Current condition of Corona, if Indian team was playing cricket, people are like, "Theek hai yaar, Corona hai, but yeah, we're watching cricket." Not trying to make fun, but I'll try to use the same example of cricket to explain the difference between leadership and championship. So like, who's your most favorite cricketer in the current team, Ayushi? Sabse favorite. Abhi current team, let's pick current team. No retired people.
Virat Kohli.
Absolutely. Virat Kohli is an amazing leader. He's an amazing captain and looks good. Absolutely. So now, between Virat Kohli and Sachin Tendulkar, whom would you pick?
Okay, that's Sachin. Like all-time favorite, of course.
Why Sachin? Sachin was a pathetic leader, yaar. Like worst captain that India had. You know how many matches he lost?
Yes.
Why then Sachin? Why Sachin?
Because when he plays, he stands the ground like very well. So he played very well, and I've seen him because he had 100 centuries.
Do not worry, I'll make it easier for you. Ayushi, I'll make it easier for you.
Okay.
The simple example or the simple explanation, every single Indian who's watched Sachin play cricket will answer the exact same way. Between Virat Kohli and Sachin Tendulkar, they would pick Sachin, even though Sachin was a failed leader. Reason is, Sachin was a champion. He knew what his skill set was. He knew that if he performed to the optimum of his skill set, his team would win. How many matches have you seen where Sachin has always scored and India wins? I mean, if Sachin scores, India wins. It used to be like that. And there hardly happen, I think, 4 to 5 nuggets wherein Sachin scored and India lost.
People
So
used to just watch Sachin play, like, and as soon as he's out, like the game is over.
हाँ मतलब
I
ठीक है
remember
अब क्या
those days.
देखना है अब क्या देखना है
हाँ,
that
क्या
sort of
देखना है,
thing right?
exactly.
अब क्या देखना है so yeah I mean obviously the team is better now but the idea here is that when you are like Sachin that is what you're supposed to be. You have one skill set, you're an amazing batsman, right? When you go in to play, there is an aura surrounding you, like, oh god, that Sachin Tendulkar coming down to play. If he scores, that's it, the other team is shit scared. So as a champion, you are supposed to do the same thing. What you're supposed to do here is you're supposed to focus on that one specific skill set and hone it to the most extraordinary level that people are awed by you. Like, you know, the jaw-dropping awe, like sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. No, that sort of a thing. As a leader, what happens is you're supposed... Yeah, as a leader, what exactly happens, Ayushi, is that you need to do everything. You need to do everything. You need to know everything. You have to be a jack of all trades and the master of all trades. That, for some reason, I feel is a very tough thing to happen. I mean, it is not so easy for people to, you know, acclimatize themselves to that sort of a feel. So hence, it is better to be a champion. I feel it is more a finer, fine-tuned version of a leader.
Yes, so basically champion is something more than a leader.
A step above that, a bit more lesser complicated version of a leader.
Okay, thank you, sir. And so I have read your book, and over there you speak about improving on an everyday basis. So my question to you is, what you have inculcated in you over the period of time or during the lockdown to, you know, to improve yourself on a daily basis? Like, what habits or what are you doing to, you know, improve yourself on a daily basis?
So I'll tell you what, Aishu, a lot of times, you know, you need to have time on your hands to do anything. Like if you have time, time is one of the most rarest resources that are around. And Corona or COVID-19 gave us that resource abundantly. So we had that abundant resource when we have so much time at our hands and we had like nothing to do. What I did, like I usually the routine that I have is I wake up at 4:45 and by 5 I'm in the morning, I'm like on my job. I work out, I have like things I read, etc., etc., etc. So much before Robin Sharma, I was a part of the 5 a.m. club. So the idea here was during this isolation period that was there in Corona, 3 things which I did. One, I reflected a lot as to what my life has been and how I have done so many things in my life. As you yourself see, if someone reads my resume, it has been all over places. Yes, agree to the fact that yes, you will see that, oh God, he's done a degree from here, he's worked here, vagera, vagera. But I have been all through the places. Like I've done my graduation in computer application, I've done my MBA in human resources, I worked as an HR, I have my own IFMS, facility management services, etc., company. In spite of all this, I'm a trainer. So this time, during the period of Corona, what I did is I tried to focus my thought as to what exactly do I want to do in my life. And I realized that I love to share knowledge. And why not do that? So the best thing that I was able to do, and thanks to Tushti from Flipping Pages for, you know, assisting me, was I was able to assimilate the book and I was able to ensure that it reaches to the audience in the right format, in the right time. That was number 2. And number 3 is I always feel that every day you need to improve yourself. And the best thing I do is I maintain a logbook. Bahi khata bolte hai, balance sheet. So daily balance sheet I maintain. In the morning I say that I'm supposed to do these things. And by the evening before I sleep, I check, have I been able to do these things? Yes, no. If no, what else did I do? So that sort of, you know, keeps me at a place where I really know what have I done with my life and the improvisations that I've been able to do through also. Like, for example, I did a lot of courses. I think a lot of people have done online certifications. I did approximately 27 once. And so they sort of, you know, changed the perception that I have. In fact, the next book that I'm writing, which is how to manufacture time. So that is like heavily influenced by the period of COVID-19.
So you have already started planning on that book.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so good. And so what are your plans? Like, what will be the second book about? Like, And
So yeah.
Will we get any fiction from your side?
Good
Like
Lord,
this
I mean,
book
like,
is non-fiction.
so I'll tell you what, I have written approximately 13 fiction books, but they are all 50-50% done. I've never been able to finish any one. So I think the last time I was having discussion with Siddhant, I guess, I was thinking that let us do crowdsource novel wherein I keep on posting chapters of my book and people can probably complete it. Because I have not been able to finish the fiction yet. Probably I know something wrong with me. I'm a heavy duty romantic at heart. I've been written really good romantic books, but I have not been able to finish it. तो कोई मतलब नहीं है. So hence I thought it's better I focus on self-help.
You can I can suggest you something. You can just write a book and with open ending, and let the readers
Finish it.
presume like let's just finish it in their mind. We can do that.
Romantic books are, it's very interesting. Well, let's see. We'll try.
Okay. So who is your inspiration and role model?
So yeah, okay. So in terms of writing, so when I was in school, I think the first book which I remember reading was David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. So Charles Dickens is someone who has inspired me a lot, and David Copperfield, Tale of Two Cities, these are things which I still hold close to myself. Imagine, I think I was like 10 years old, and when I first got my hands on David Copperfield, I still have that same book, a copy which I stole from my library. If my teachers are listening,
Wow.
I have that same book copy still in my library. I have a library inside. So I still have the same thing here. That guy inspired me so much because this. You have read David Copperfield? So I just cite some examples.
I have actually I have read Hard Times by Charles Dickens. I know what David Copperfield is about, so you can cite references.
But are you a romantic at heart? Do you like reading romantic novels?
Yeah, of course.
Then
Yeah.
I'm a literature student,
so I obviously have.
Then you must read A Tale of Two Cities. There's nothing better than that. A tale of lost love. I mean, something unrequited love, stuff like that. Oh, anyhow, coming back to the point.
That will be added to my TBR.
So the idea here is that he was able to express the anguish that is there in the mind of a young child, and as he grows into adolescence and as he grows old, the love that he feels for two female protagonists in the book. And that sort of inspired me that if someone can put the vision that is there in someone's mind into my head merely by words, I should be able to do that. So from that day I've started writing romantic short stories, poems, etc. I've written a lot of blogs. I don't know, the Karmic Confessions, etc. There were a lot of blogs. Like earlier, I used to have like a lot of blogging. So 12 years ago, I used to do a lot of blogging. I used to write a lot of poems on that. So yeah, from that time, he's always been an inspiration to me. And in recent times, if you talk about an author, then Robin Sharma, even though he likes really complicated books, he sort of inspires me as to to write stuff which is very inspiring, really good. And Paulo Coelho, obviously, Alchemist, amazing book.
I am a fan too.
Yes. So like such a simple story, and it teaches you so much.
Exactly.
That's crazy. And there's another author known as Mehrab Irani. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's written this book known as Mad Money Journey. If you want to learn finance, people, all of you who are listening to this, want to understand finance for your life, read the Mad Money Journey. It's a mad journey. You will love it.
Okay.
So yeah, these are few inspirations.
You have many. So I must say you have a lot of recommendations for our audience. So if you want to give recommendations to our audience, like fiction, one book in fiction and maybe 2 or 3 in non-fiction. So what books will you recommend?
I'll stick to fiction first. I'll say Priya Kumar is a very nice author. You should read her book known as The Calling. Mehrab Irani, The Calling. The Mehrab Irani's book Mad Money Journey, even though it's a self-help non-fiction book, it is fiction incorporated. So it's like the stories or the learnings that are there, they are taught via fictional stories. So that will be a good book to read. Along with all these two things, there is another very interesting book by Robin Sharma as it is 5 a.m. Club. It's a very thick book, slightly boring, but if you can make through it, it will change your life for sure.
I was able to make through The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I think that was more than enough for me. For that,
The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, if you're struggling, then 5 a.m. Club will put you to sleep.
I'm more of a fiction reader than a non-fiction reader, but I'm sure our audience would love to read, like, non-fiction, so they'll take in mind. So
sure.
We have questions from the audience also. They want to ask, like, what are your there was a question, what are your suggestions for an upcoming writers?
I think I always tell this to people, and I might sound a bit blasphemous when I talk like this, but let me be very honest. There is not a single piece of originality when you write. So as an author, you have to understand, you are going to be inspired. So to those people who think that, oh God, this sounds or this looks like something someone else has written, forget it. Remember that you are impressions of people. When you meet people, like I have met Ayushi, Ayushi has inspired me in some way. I probably have also shed some of my light on her. So the idea is that we always get inspired by people. They leave impressions on us. So as a young author, remember, your originality is your originality. It is always gonna be remaining the same. Theories for self-help books or fiction, everything is gonna get overlapped. So no romantic story is original. In every romantic story, there is a guy and there is a girl, or there is a guy and a guy, or a girl and a girl, whatever it is. Okay. The idea is that times are changing, so you also have to. But eventually, a romantic story is always formed at the foundation of love. There is nothing that is extraordinarily different in that, right? So similar to that, as a young author, whatever is there in your head, write it down. To those people, when you share the idea and they say, "अरे ये तो मैंने पढ़ा हुआ है," ठीक है, पढ़ा हुआ है. चेतन भगत ने कौन सी ओरिजिनल लिखी है? Everyone knows what he's written, but he's an amazing author, isn't he? So that sort of a thing.
I've never read anything by Chetan Bhagat, so no.
Do not lie. Come on, not a single book.
God promise, I have never read anything by Chetan Bhagat. Like, I have heard reviews, and that inspired me to never pick a book by him. Okay, so no.
Interesting, very interesting.
And I'm proud of myself for that.
Okay, similar to the fact that you don't watch Karan Johar movies, you don't read Chetan Bhagat books also. Interesting, very good. So yeah, so as a young author, you always need to remember that you will be inspired, and there's absolutely no harm in that. So go ahead, write. The most important thing is to ensure that your thoughts are transformed into words and you just get it out. That's it.
That was a very good piece of suggestions, like really needed, like for everyone out there who are thinking, like, who have something to express, but they're like, nahi yaar, it's already there. What should I write new? What will I write new? So there's something new in each story. So
absolutely,
that's really good. So I would request you to read an extract from your book, sir. Like, I would love to hear from you. So
read an extract from my book. Okay, wait, then you'll have to hold on. Just a sec.
Yeah, okay. So till the time you're trying to find out, I'll suggest my audience to ask questions if they have any from you. If any more questions are there that they would like to ask.
I'll have to answer questions.
There is a comment, Chetan Bhagat will teach you what not to write.
Oh, let's not be so bad with him. He's good. He's not that bad, but okay. Fair enough. So yeah, what do I read from my book? I have it with me. So see, technically this book is divided into 22 modules, 20 chapters or modules, whatever you call that. There are few interesting modules which are of really, really close to my heart. But the most important thing is the My Methods in Alchemy, which basically talks about how I have sort of incorporated what I'm telling you to read. ऐसा तो है नहीं कि I ask you to read what I've written and I myself have not, practiced it. So as a person, I always make sure that whatever I'm asking you to do, I've already, done that, right? So wait, I'll just read something from there. A very short thing, but something which makes a lot of importance to me is we need to understand quickly how to measure our achievements and those of others. We need to understand if these measures are genuine or fake and should be thrown away. If they are only artificial social constructs or have strong inner values, you must realize if your reasoning is a mere assimilation absorbed from others, and who gave them the right to inculcate ideas in you without letting you decide if they were good or not. As an adult, and this is a very, very poignant point, as an adult, ask yourself which ones are real and which ones are false. And for those you do not feel yours, try to replace them with something more productive and true. And a quote which I really hold true to myself, which I feel is the gist of this book. Look at the people in the face, see them well, and ask yourself if a soul shines from their faces. So this is the book for me.
That is one of the favorite parts. The best part which I would like to share with the audience about your book is there are extracts and there are quotes to sum up that extracts or representing that. So they are very well placed, sir. You are a very vigorous reader, I can say, after reading your book, because very aptly you have placed the quote. So some questions that I have from you, the audience actually have from you, is what are your hobbies, sir? What are your hobbies?
So as an author, I think everyone would expect this guy must be padhaku bas book padhta rehta ho. But no, I'm a voracious reader. I agree. But yeah, other than being a voracious reader, I love to cook. I love kitchen is something which I really like to be. My mother doesn't allow me, but yes, still I do that. I have a few cafes in the place where I am, so I try to spend a bit of my time there. I love talking. I think I don't know what happens. This is something which is very extraordinary. I don't say it's a hobby, but I love talking and trying to reach out to people, and I'll just randomly talk to a person who's sitting in my cafe and go to just share ideas with that person. If that person doesn't feel that I am a stalker or something, but other than that, yeah, that's another thing. But yes, as one of the most important things that I have is I love to listen to interesting music. When I say interesting music, I mean nowadays it's trap, EDM, etc. is very much in vogue. But I am more of a fan of a Mozart or a Beethoven or a symphony of some sorts. So yeah, that sort of a thing. So yes, these are few of my hobbies.
Great. That's great. So one of the girls is asking, have you read Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon?
I have. Yes, I have. Very interesting thing that you brought up. Huh? So you probably understood what I was trying to say. Okay, good. I have read that.
Okay. So, and what is your favorite book? Many of them are asking about that.
Tale of Two Cities. People, if you have not read Tale of Two Cities, read it. Fall in love again.
Okay. And any other except Tale of Two Cities?
Yeah, others. Yeah. So something which, again, as I said, something which inspires me a lot. See, I love fiction. We have these ancient fiction wherein we have these mythological characters recreated, somewhat like Amish did. So similar to what Amish writes, there is another author known as Krishna Uday Shankar. I don't know if people have heard of her. So she has written this book known as Arivrata Chronicles, Govinda, Kurukshetra, etc., etc. So I love that. Arivrata Chronicles is something which is very interesting for me, and the way she has presented Krishna's character there is something which makes me really nice. I don't know how she was able to construct that character, but she's done an amazing job. So that is another book I really like. And yes, Mad Money Journey. Every year, one time I read that book because I would like to remind myself what my priorities in life are.
That's very good. You have given some very good TBR increasing. I have there are comments you are making our TBRs increase. So that is something is happening. So one of the people are asking, how do you tackle a writer's block? That is a very serious question.
Oh, good Lord, trust me on my fact. I mean, as a fiction writer, I have encountered writer's block so many times. I told you, 13 books I have not been able to finish. Okay, so but yeah, I'll tell you what. How do you encounter writer's block? See, when as a writer you have a concept. Hota kya na, in your head, in your mind you have a theory. In your mind you have a construct that this is supposed to be this way, and this is what it's supposed to be like. If the protagonist, the female protagonist, is walking out, she's getting drenched in rain. brain. So there is a vision that is there in your mind, right? And then you try to write that. During that period when you're inspired to write all that, if at all you lose time frame and you try to meet other people and you try to get influenced by others and you just try to get into some other task, that's it. You will never be able to finish that. So the moment you have that thought, make a point of writing it down anywhere. Forget it. You can write it in your diary. You can bloody write it in a message. And nowadays, technology is so good. So switch on your phone, record what you want to say. That's it. But as a writer, make sure that the moment you have a thought, ensure that is translated into something that is recordable.
Like just convert your Finzi into words, so
Absolutely.
that will be easier. Okay, that's a very, very, very good suggestion. So why did you choose the Midas touch as the title?
So I've always been fascinated by the Greek legend of Midas. I mean, like I used to think that what a stupid guy. I mean, like he gets the boon of touching anything into gold. I mean, मैं छोटा था ना तो उस टाइम सोचता था gloves पहन लेता यार. I mean, जब निकालता छूता तो gold हो जाता. I mean, how stupid that guy is. I mean, why would he do that? So from childhood that legend has inspired me. And see, in this world, whatever era that you have been in, you study human, psychology. Gold is something which holds very important place in for us, in economically speaking, aesthetically speaking. Every time gold is of very, very great importance, right? Even in the time of corona, when the oil prices are dipping down, the gold is shit expensive now, right? So everyone wants to hedge into gold. And so that made me realize that whatever happens in the world, gold as a product, gold as something which is held of extraordinary value. So similar to that, specifically in India, and I mean that's of extraordinary importance to us, right? So, and I am a Malayali. I mean, I'm a South Indian, right? So you will see all these ads, Kalyan Jewelers, you have Joy Alucas, women are adorned with jewelry, and you feel like, are they trying to showcase the females or bloody so much jewelry there, so much? Who wears so much? But the idea here is coming back to the point: why Midas? So Midas, because see, everyone wants to turn everything around them into something which is very precious, and the Greek legend of Midas basically tries to convey that whatever you touch can become gold, but you need to know how and when to change or transform something. So that is what I wanted to reach out to people, that you need to understand what trait of yours you can convert into excellence, but you also need to know when to do that, because if you do not do it at the right time, similar to what the King Midas did, he touched his own daughter and she turned into gold, right? And that would mean that you would have lost the opportunity that you have. So ensure that as a champion, as a manager, as a human being, this book is not just for businessmen. This book is not just for people who work. This book is for the housewife who's sitting at home. This book is for the regular, your chaiwala, your driver, your every person. This book needs to be imbibed. The idea is very simple. Understand when to turn that trait that you have into excellence and how to do that. That's it. So that is why the title of Midas Touch.
Very well explained. Your favorite excerpt from the book, like which one is your favorite excerpt? Like if
so
there
the one that I read right now, that towards the end, that actually is the gist of the book, and that's why I wrote it. So yeah, that is my most favorite excerpt of the book.
Your favorite food?
Favorite food? Okay, I am on a diet, so otherwise I would have given you another answer. But yeah, my favorite food is, I don't know, egg curry.
And without a diet?
Without a diet, pizza any day.
Okay. There are suggestions coming on what are your thoughts on co-authoring?
Co-authors. I mean, yeah, I have co-authored a few books, and I would love to have co-authors. Yeah, I mean, like imagine मेरे पास जो 13 books पढ़ी है, मैं किसी के साथ share कर लूँ, अगर वो खत्म कर सके तो why do it? Why not become a co-author?
I think that's it. Okay, you're a foodie.
I am big time. Trust me, I used to be 121 kilos once upon a time.
Okay, do you believe in God? That's a weird question.
That's nice. So, do I believe in God? Why not? Why shouldn't I believe in God? You see, if someone tells me that there's something extraordinarily positive, someone or something who is trying to ensure that I'll be happy, I'll be taken care of, why should I not believe in? I would always believe in something which is positive, right? Because who doesn't like to be protected? I am a human being too. I would love to be protected. And if God is there, and if he or she or whatever that power or that energy is gonna safeguard me, yes, I am a believer.
Wow. Okay. Who inspired you to write romantic story?
Okay, I mean, unrequited love, of course.
Okay. How did you come up with the idea of writing a book during quarantine?
I mean, as I said, there's a lot of self-reflection that was happening during quarantine, and as I said, time as a resource was of scarcity, and Corona said, use as much time as you want. So that sort of helped me, and because of the time that I had, I was able to pen down my thoughts into the book.
How would you describe yourself as a person?
How would I describe myself as a person? Oh, wow. I mean, I would rather ask Ayushi to describe me as a person. Ayushi, what do you think I am as a person? How am I as a person?
I think you are a very inspiring and handsome and very, you have a very charming personality. I'll have to say, like, you have a power to envelop any conversation. So you are a very good speaker.
I'm touched. Gracias. I'm really gracias. So whatever Ayushi said, that is exactly what I think I am as a person.
Okay. Since you have written a non-fiction book, do you have a list of good non-fiction books to recommend everyone?
I do. I have a 10-book list. You want me to share that? Wait, hold on.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, that's something which I feel that the lives of people can change. You read those 10 books, and I assure you, it's like a 100% surety thing. Your lives will 100% change.
Okay.
While I just open the list. So you must be wondering as to this guy has a list of 10 books also he's written.
No, everyone has that. Come on.
So yeah, I mean, so I call it my choice. So let me say the first, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Interesting book. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Yeah. The Happiness Advantage by Sean Acker. The Speed of Trust by Stephen M.R. Covey, that is Stephen Covey's son. Influencer, The New Science of Leading Change. Creativity Incorporated by Ed Catmull. Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek is a very famous author. The Social Contract by Jean-Jacques Rousseau. This book is a thin book, okay? It's a so tiny book by Jean-Jacques Rousseau. But that guy tells that every single relationship that you have is technically a contract. And that guy wrote the book 400 years ago. Imagine. A guy writing a book 400 years ago talking about something which is so relevant in these times. To read that book. Ikigai. Ikigai is amazing. It's something which you need to learn. You need to learn Ikigai. So yeah, these are 10 books which I really feel that people would love.
I hope everyone has noted it down. Who is your guru?
So I'm very flexible that way. So everyone inspires me. So I cannot name you the gurus that I have, but every single mentor or every single professor who has taught me has been my guru. Has changed my life. But in recent times, Sadhguru, what he says moves a lot inside me. And for me, whatever he says makes a lot of sense. His book on inner engineering, even though it did not feature in my list, and I did not talk about inner engineering, has inspired me to the core. So yeah, technically speaking, current times, Sadhguru is someone I'm inspired by, and I feel that he's a guru. And I am like Eklavya because he's far away and I haven't met each other. So that's it.
It's okay. I think that we'll end the session. Because the questions will keep on coming.
Is it? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's like coming and coming. So, do you mind taking more questions?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I have absolutely nothing to do. Sitting and talking to you.
Okay, let's see. We'll take one more question then. Did you already have this book in your mind, or just quarantine just inspired you and just gave you this idea? And
Oh, no. Inside my mind, I have approximately 500 plus books. Just waiting for times like Corona to come out. No, but it's there. There are so many thoughts in my head. And when I say that, when a thought comes to your mind, you should write it down. It's with my own experience because hota kya hai na, काफी बार, you have thoughts, you get inspired and you forget it. It has happened to me. I don't want you all to have the same problems. Whenever it comes to your head, write it down.
that's so true. Please tell our audience where we can find the book and how we can buy it.
So the book currently is there on Amazon. You can go and find the ebook there from Amazon.in. Pretty soon, the publisher is going to come out with paperbacks, just the Corona issue. I think most probably by mid-August, we'll have the paperbacks out too. Other than that, we're also trying to get the podcast out. We're trying to get something on Audible out. So let's see how things work. But currently, go on Amazon.in. You will be able to click on the ebook. It's damn cheap, $49. Probably, a plate, one time of pani puri having is sort of covers this.
So true.
You don't have pani puri.
Yeah. It was so amazing to talk to you, sir. I really hope when this Corona time ends, we can have a book discussion live, in person someday. So, that was all for today's session. I hope you enjoyed. I absolutely enjoyed today's session a lot.
I did. And Ayushi, you have an amazing host. Thank you. Thanks for having me here. And sorry for the trouble that we had to connect in the starting. I know something's wrong with my in network. But lovely. Thank you for hosting me. Once again, a lot of thanks to my publisher, Tushti, Flipping Pages, and Ayushi. Thanks, and an amazing audience.
Thank you, sir, for giving us your precious time. And thank you to the audience. I hope you all enjoyed. So, thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Let's end this session today. Bye-bye.
Bye.